basically saying is my man had no choice but to be the savage that he is. Let's get into the undisputed knockout, devour your fucking kids as Mike Tyson. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss Mike. Now this is a brand new series and it's available on Hulu. Now before I get into all things Iron Ass Mike Tyson, I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, and then we're going to come back and discuss episode 1, Thief, coming out strong through the gate. When I tell you I was waiting on this show harder than anything, I am so excited to see what they have in store.
Go back.
Now that you guys have hopefully subscribed to see more of me, let's get into this episode. But before we jump directly into the show, let's just spend like 2 minutes on Mike Tyson. I was so excited for this show because I've always been intrigued by all things Mike Tyson in his life as a whole. He has always led an extremely controversial life and has a story to tell. Even if we're going all the way from the beginning, him being such an outstanding boxer, that strong influence of his mentor, holding on to that heavyweight champ belt at a mere 20 years old, just a savage, just impeccable, all the way to stuff like the allegation and spending 3 years in prison, that toxic ass marriage that he had with Robin Givens, the drug use, the face tattoo, biting off Holyfield's ear, all the way bringing it back to now full circle, his life, you know, his one-man stand-up show, his the whole show in Las Vegas, him being a whole radio personality, him being the friendly, lovable, laughing, giggle, I just want to hug him ass Mike Tyson that we get now. Like, his story is so layered. This deserves a series. We need it. We got it. Let's watch it. Now, of course, it is extremely unfortunate that this show in no way has the backing or support from Mike Tyson himself. So I know he most definitely had no input on anything that's going on here. So take everything in the show, as I am, with a grain of salt. Mike Tyson would much rather get the biopic that he wants, that one that stars Jamie Foxx, the one that's going to be directed by Martin Scorsese, the one that we have all been waiting for like over a decade now, that I hope we really get. I've always wanted Mike Tyson to get his Hurricane Muhammad Ali-esque moment, all while he is still very much so alive to tell his own story. I really hope that we get that, and we get it soon from an authentic place. But until then, of course, we have countless documentaries, countless books, the biopic with Michael Jai White. I did not forget about that. And now we have this show. Let's get into it. Now, getting into episode 1, Thief, I felt like we got off to a really good start. I was even happy with the fact that we were open, you know, with jokes, you know, opening with the Holy Grail, literally the Holyfield ear. And it's just like, nah, we're not going to start here. Breaking that tension, that fourth wall. Mike Tyson is a naturally funny man, so I thought that it was very authentic for something like that to be there. Then we get immediately into Trevante Rhodes delivering. Mike Tyson is not at all an easy man to portray. We have the vernacular, the mannerisms, the lisp, the speech. And then you guys give me Mike Tyson's Undisputed Truth, directed by Spike Lee. I love that we started off there. I absolutely love that stand-up. I was like, yes, if we are starting here, everything hopefully moving forward should be transparent, poetic, funny, and strong. He even had, you know, a good rhythm going with the speech and the whole face tattoo, the bald head, the makeup, everything was working. I was like, wow, he's really delivering. right away, we didn't start off with anything that I can deny as to say, this doesn't seem right. The visuals were on point, the acting was on point, and we opened with a child actor living that life in a 1974 Brownsville. He is bullied, he is picked on, considered to be a little weird, a little mentally off, has a list. He's having to grow up in this rough, tough, harsh-ass environment, and it's forcing him to become the Mike Tyson that we know him to be. I even love how we have Trevante, Mike Tyson, giving the narration here. Like, I was running, I got my ass whooped. I came home, got my ass whooped. Across the street, I got my ass whooped. Like, I had no choice but to fight. Now, we don't just focus on the harsh conditions, and most likely Mike Tyson, in that time, having learning disabilities and nobody knowing how to identify it or really help him and him being picked on. We also focus a whole lot of this first episode on his mother, and I was really interested to see how they were going to handle it, because Mike Tyson, as far as his mother is concerned, has always been a really sensitive topic for him. And even though the portrayal of her is really harsh, really heavy, where is the lie? A lot of the stuff portrayed here by the mother, who the actress did a phenomenal job, in my opinion. It all was said by him himself, that he really cared for her, but they never really had much of a strong bond or a relationship, because she was really consumed with the toxic men in her life. Was she, really great once upon a time? Could she have had a better life? For sure. Plenty of pimps, prostitutes, hustlers. It was just not good conditions for her to be the best mother that she could. Not only was that going on, but she was, an alcoholic. She was abusive. These are things that he said, he was so used to seeing that toxic behavior of her knocking somebody the fuck out with the frying pan and them just going right back to loving and having sex with each other. These are things that he has commented on himself. So I thought the portrayal here was done really, really well. Not that that's anything that we want to see, but this is his life. I really think that the show could have benefited from being an hour long per episode, because I just didn't want certain scenes to end. A lot of stuff was going by quickly and running all together, and I think if we could have spent a little bit more time with certain aspects of his mother, maybe spend a little bit more time with her to make her a full-blown, fleshed out character, because I swear each time we saw her, she was mad and she was whooping ass. But even if that, was the case, it would have been nice to maybe round her off a little bit more, or maybe even throw in the aspects of Curly, the guy who Mike Tyson thought of as his father, who was a pimp, maybe to look at those fatherly roles and those dynamics that he had in his life and what that was like for him. Digging more into the neighborhood or just his surroundings, bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks all up, off and through the streets. Like, I wanted some more on that front. But what I did absolutely love was the portrayal of, him finally finding something that he liked in the pigeons. By this time he has been, running with the wrong crowd. He's been in the streets. He's getting picked on. He's not going to school. He's not really getting much, if any at all, of an education. But he does find a liking to pigeons. Like, when they cranked up the DMX X gon' give it to you, and we see the whole thing act out of the bully ripping the head off of his pigeon, and he just goes ham for the first time, and that's when he becomes a fighter, when somebody destroyed something that he just loved and cared for so much. I love that scene. Like, the look of the show, the setting, the saturation and the color of the characters, like, I loved it all. And even just really getting down to the nitty-gritty of this boy literally came from nothing. It's a really good depiction of started from the bottom, now we're here. Like, he absolutely had nothing and no one, maybe outside of his siblings and the passion that he did have for his mother, even though he was clearly headed down the wrong path. Like, how the hell do you become a full-fledged breaking and entering, what's good, son, stick 'em up, I'm breaking in your house, Scully mask, give it up ass kid? Between like 7 and 12, he is a whole professional burglar. Like, this is a hard not life, but you really get into that tough upbringing, and him just settling for, this is all I'm ever going to be good at. all the options that I will ever have. This is a young man who is not expecting to make it past the age of 18, 20 years old. Watch a journey where all the odds are stacked up against you. He literally at the age of 12, 13 feels like he has no future. He has been picked on all of his life. He has no education. He is poor. And then we have a mom who is an alcoholic in toxic relationships. She's abusive herself, and all she knows is how to show plenty of discipline. She wants so badly to save her son, but she does it in comparison through, oh, well, look at your brother, look at the other kids. Why can't you be more like them? You're never going to be anything else but this. She's showing up and she's whooping ass. Like, if I have to come down to this police station again, like the fact that he was arrested at that young of an age so many times, it just was looking really, really bleak. All of the constant stealing, robbing, you really do get to see early on that this isn't just, him being a product of his environment, even though it's very much so about power. I just want to be somebody. I'm constantly being bullied and talked down upon. But when I became this, I feel like I became somebody, and I'm good at this. Like him just running amok on the streets, seeing, his young friends get shot like directly next to him, things that he have spoken on yet again. Once again, everything is really, really rushed, but you get the gist of it. With him being in such a rush to do the complete opposite of what she wants him to do, because she is trying to redirect him in the most negative, talk to him like off the street. Like, it is just not a good look. No positive reinforcement going on in this household whatsoever. Like the way that she was speaking to him, I can't even imagine talking to my own children that way, but it just goes to show what his environment was like. Now, I also do love that even though we were getting into his childhood and, him becoming a whole burglar, going to jail, all while still fighting, I love how we still have that same kind of charisma that we get with him. Like, yeah, I was robbing and stealing. What you thought? Yeah, boy, I'm from Brooklyn. Like, it's a whole lot of that going on, which I absolutely love. Even though we're in such a negative, toxic environment, they are still finding ways to inject comedy, not only with our young Mike Tyson character. Like, we constantly have him, yeah, I didn't do it, I didn't steal nothing. Like, yeah, I stole it, I took that shit, and what? Like, I love those aspects, or even the callbacks to us referring back to him with Customato in the 80s, or maybe doing interviews, kind of correlating that his environment and his upbringing as a child never left him, even once he got into young adulthood. You have to remember, he is 19, 20, getting all of these belts and accolades and a whole nother episode, but this is still very much affecting him. We have all of this going on. I love the callbacks and the way that it's shot, the visuals. Like, I think the show is doing a really good job with the costuming, the way that the camera angles are being handled, the makeup effects. I think it's going really, really well. Even with us having those constant fourth wall breaks, it feels very authentic to the type of character that Mike Tyson is. So it's really befitting, even though it's constantly happening. But once we get towards the end and we have him go to group home after group home after group home, we have him finally meet somebody, and he cannot whoop their ass because they are an actual fighter. And he is genuinely stopped in his tracks by something that he wants to learn to do. Now, by this point in the show, we have been through a couple of actors portraying Mike Tyson, or young Mike Tyson, but the older 13, 14, 15-year-old guy depicting him, BJ Minor, I believe he is a new actor. He looked very much so like Mike Tyson, and I really, really enjoyed the short portrayal that we got with him. I think he was doing a really incredible job. But this is the first time, in yet another juvenile-esque facility that we get to see Mike Tyson really dedicate himself to something. We get to see him meet Bobby Stewart and really actually apply himself, really for the first time in his life be dedicated because he wants so desperately to learn something, not even truly knowing the potential that he would have as a fighter, just thinking, hey, I would be great at whooping some ass, I will be the best of the best. And everyone seeing just how exceptional he is already at a very young age, long before he met Customato. He had it. But I just love the sincerity that we got in his character, in this softness, in this desperation that we get in the end. Not only for him to belong, but being really clingy as far as Bobby Stewart was concerned when he wants to, promote him, push him up. You have so much potential that I want to introduce you to Customato, and he just gets very down on himself. Like, it's just a reflection of his environment and that lack of love. But it also shows that it literally only took one or two people to change his life and people to put him on a better path. Even though at this point in the show we do see that he is still struggling child, he's still robbing, still stealing wallets and whatnot, but he has a lot of potential and is an exceptional boxer. Not only does Bobby Stewart see it, but also Customato here as a almost unrecognizable Harvey Keitel. I really did not know that that was him right away, but I already can tell, Harvey's gonna do a good ass job, but he is here ready at the end of the episode to take him under his wing and train him. And I even love in the end when we got that really just glare of gleam in Mike's eyes because he saw some roses in real life. It was like, God damn, it was very much so a rose, kind of growing from the concrete type of scenario. Yes, boo, we trying to see you blossom. Well, you guys, that was my review for Mike episode 1, Thief. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please drop down and tell me what you think about this show as a whole and what you thought about my review. I really appreciate you guys for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.